welcome to another edition of You and the Police. My name is Wendy Lai. For our topic of the week this evening, we'll be looking at the proposed legalization of the commercial use of motorbikes here in our country. Knowing that motorbikes are fast gaining grounds because it's become a preferred option for commuters, some to dodge traffic, others to get to their various destinations very quickly. A number of stakeholders have come up and are arguing that there should be a review to ensure that the proposed legalization of the commercial use of motorbikes happens. We'll be speaking to the National Road Safety Commission to find out their take on this very issue. We'll also take a listen to what the Deputy Transport Minister, Titus Glover, had to say about this very issue. We'll also speak to motor riders here at NEMA to find out their views on the proposed legalization of the commercial use of motorbikes. Time now for crime highlights, and these are crime stories that you might have missed during the week.
There are indications the suspended Eastern Regional Director of the Economic and Organized Crime Office has been recalled. The Executive Director of YOCO ACP KK Amwa retired, suspended his Regional Director Fred Zeni. The regional YOCO boss had suggested government must show commitment to the fight against corruption by prosecuting current corrupt officials first. A statement issued by YOCO and signed by its Executive Director ACP KK Amwa retired said although the comments made by Fred Zeni were his personal utterances, they were unprofessional and unethical, hence his suspension. The sources say some government and party officials are unhappy with the YOCO boss's action. The minority has pushed for his reinstatement, calling his suspension bad. There are indications the suspended YOCO director may have been recalled. The Supreme Court has granted lawyers for CPP General Secretary James Kwabena Bomfe an opportunity to amend their case against the construction of the National Cathedral. The Apex Court further ordered the parties in the case to within 7 days file their legal arguments. The CPP General Secretary James Kwabena Bomfe dragged the Attorney General to the Apex Court over government decision to construct a national cathedral. His lawyers have praised the Apex Court to allow them make changes to the writs issued in March 2017. The AG and the lawyer for James Bomfe have also been handed 7 days to file legal arguments simultaneously. James Kwabena Bomfe is seeking a declaration that government intentions to assist in the construction of the National Cathedral are unconstitutional. The case has been adjourned to November 21. GCB Bank has begun investigations into circumstances under which monies were withdrawn from customers' accounts by some unknown persons. Some customers of the bank have been complaining that unspecified amounts were withdrawn from the account without their authorization over the weekend. The incident is said to have occurred 5 days ago when some customers randomly received text messages indicating that money had been debited from the account. It is not known how and who was behind the deductions. All ATMs of the bank were then shut down by management to avoid further withdrawals. It is not clear how many customers have been affected and the total amount of money withdrawn. The bank confirmed the incident and indicated that measures to strengthen the bank's security system to prevent further withdrawals are underway. The bank has also assured it will refund the money to affected customers after a validation process. GCB Bank has, however, apologized to affected customers and assured their accounts are safe. The Ministry of Interior has renewed the curfew hours on 4 towns in 2 regions of the country. They are Bimbilla from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and that of Patenga and its environs from 12 midnight to 4 a.m. both in the northern region, effective November 2. The rest are Alavanyo and Nkonya in the Volta region from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. effective November 4, 2018.
You're still watching You and the Police. I am Wendy Lai. We'll be back shortly. Do stay with us. Concentrate now on our topic for the week. As I mentioned earlier on, we're looking at the proposed legalization of the commercial use of motorbikes here in our country. Tonight, we'll be speaking to one of the major stakeholders, which is the National Road Safety Commission, as well as hear the views of the Transport Deputy, as well as hear the views of the Deputy Transport Minister, Titus Glover, on this very issue. We'll also hear the streets here at Nima and speak to some motor riders on their take on this very issue as well. So we're still continuing our conversation on the proposed legalization of the commercial use of motorbikes, and this evening I will be speaking to the head of communications at the National Road Safety Commission. He is Kwame Kodua Etiahene, to find out the road safety's take on this proposed legalization and what exactly we need to do as a country to ensure that safety is indeed first. What does the National Road Safety Commission make of the proposed legalization of the commercial use of motorbikes?
In areas where the practice appeared to be emerging, and looked at what was considered the best practice, literature from across the West African sub-region. Ghana happens to be a member of the West African Road Safety Organization, and we had the benefit of the impact of the practice from our neighboring countries and colleagues. All of that and prevailing circumstances at the time informed the position of the law, which is that motorbikes or cycles are part of vehicles with the transport environment, but for good reason. It was important to limit their use for courier and delivery services, but not for carting human beings, and that is the law today. If you look at for us, our preoccupation is about safety. Today, if you look back the last 10 years, motorcycle-related fatalities have gone up by 400%. Today, beyond pedestrians, they rate about the second most vulnerable user class. It used to be passengers. If you pay attention to the data, they are neck to neck with passengers or occupants of buses. So it gives rise for some level of concern. Is it the case that if they are legalized, the numbers will come down? Or is it the case that you open up and you probably will have too much problems to contend with? I mean, these are issues that we must reflect on dispassionately, without having to focus on the often excuse of jobs to take a decision that might come back to hurt all of us. I mean, so that's where we are.
Okay, now you've mentioned a number of salient points, and then also you touched on a bit where you said you might, as an institution, which is part of the larger stakeholder body, you might give it some attention. When you say specifically, out of all you've said, when you say some attention, what exactly do you mean?
We want to hear a superior argument. Yes, the ministry, together with stakeholders, have initiated a process to review the entire legislative instrument. There are quite a number of portions that are coming up for review. I imagine that this is one strong, interested part of it, and would like to hear arguments from interested parties. We would like to be convinced that if the status quo must change, it will not have severe consequences for public safety. So that's what I mean, that we will not be stampeded into taking a decision that will worsen the safety situation. Today, if I want to learn how to drive, for instance, a car, there are 1,001 driving schools I could walk in to learn how to drive. I do not think that you can say the same for motor riders. I will be happy if you, as part of your work, maybe you want to talk to insurance companies. Because at the time, one of the overriding considerations was that insurance companies were not willing to sell insurance products for motor riders because they were considered high risk. They get into the environment, they don't abide by regulations, they are improperly trained. There were issues to do with protective gears, and all of those situations or conditions they allow for the insurance industry to connect sufficiently with this mode of transportation.
Now, again, you touched on a bit where if we should legalize it, is that going to solve the problem or create an influx of these motorbikes? But
it requires some deeper reflection. Last year, towards the end of last year, was a team made up of the police, ourselves, and DVLA that made a trip to Rwanda, because the story has been told often about Rwanda or Kigali, where these motorbikes, for a good reason, have been legalized and accommodated within the transport mode, and fairly in a fairly decent operation without too much hassle. But I personally, I've always taken the view that best practice may not always be good practice. The fact that it works perfectly in another jurisdiction does not necessarily mean that you could have similar experiences here. The level of discipline in Rwanda does not measure to what we experience in this country. Structures, institutions. So if we could replicate the conditions that allow for their use as part of the review, why not? Our overwhelming consideration for us is that whatever choice we take should be one that will improve the safety of motor riders and their pillions or passengers. And that for us will be the decider. I think that certain, like I said, certain conditions must be at place. Let us not pretend. There are areas in this country where without motorbikes, they're entirely cut off the transport mode. Yes, so as part of the conversation, it is important we identify these areas and possibly ways in which transport could be improved. If we fail to do that and the status quo remain and we take decisions that may allow for legalization, we should be ready to improve upon our level of enforcement. We should be ready to improve upon the training regime. And as I said today, if you want to learn, virtually most people who ride bikes learn on their own. And if you cannot learn how to drive a vehicle on your own, how do you encourage the learning to ride bikes on your own? So we should have a conversation around building instructions, institutions, public or private, that will allow for training of these riders so that we are certain they have the competencies to come into the environment, behave as part of the traffic, and get the needed reaction. If it does not happen, I imagine that legalization might possibly increase the level of casualties that we have within that transportation mode. And that will require that this country would have to spend a lot of money in managing. Today, If you went to 37 or Kolebu, I'll encourage you to do that. And you will be amazed at the level of motor rider or cycle-related casualties that are recorded on a daily basis at this stage where they are not legalized. Unfortunately, it is difficult, even though I spoke of the level of rise, it is difficult to determine whether these incidents are related to the Okada or not, because the police have a difficulty to even isolate who a commercial user is from a non-commercial user. But we are also aware that in certain parts of this country, people patronize these services. So it's down to regulation. Are we able to develop systems, institutions? Are we ready today to do so? Do we have the commitment to do that? If we are, and we can seal the gaps, which makes it impossible today to legalize, maybe yes. If we are not, then we probably will have to hasten very slowly, because end of the day, I mean, you want to look at the figures and see ways in which you can help to improve their impact.
It is ongoing. Currently, the law says that it's unlawful. Okada operations are unlawful. But the other side of it is that it is playing a very important role in our transportation arrangement. Why? Because transport is not made available, visible in certain areas within our country in terms of public transport or private commercial vehicles and all that. So in a way of trying to rope them in, what should we do? This issue has come up at the ministry, one of our stakeholders' engagements in Koforidua recently, whether we should amend the law to make sure that we walk through some of these road safety education to make sure that they are properly registered, they have their rider's license and all that. And we believe that it is a way of trying to solve some of these carnage on our roads. Again, it's also creating some employment for the youth, so to speak. Some of these areas that you find themselves and all that. So it's an ongoing debate that we are still engaging. And I believe that a time may come that we can sit down as a ministry, as Ghanaians, to look at the issues, both the for and against of these riders. Trust me, when you come to motor riders, one thing I've observed is that when you go to the 3 northern regions, it is seriously enforced. When you go to north, either Tamale, either Wa or Bolga, and its surroundings in the towns, when there's traffic light, you see all these riders complying. They stop, they observe. When it's green, they all go. But when we come to the south here, in Accra and Kumasi, they drive anyhow. Doesn't mean that they respect the laws differently, because up north they have the large concentration of these riders up there in the north. But down south in Accra, Tema, Ashama, other places, they have no respect. And that is why they are being knocked down daily, every time, because of the total disrespect to road traffic regulations. So these are issues that it's still ongoing, and with the minute at the right time, we can have a finality to it.
Like a yamu say so the Ebeka taxi for no na your tax. Okay, I think say nanka nye say be a tax, because me wa no me say no my pay juma minya na nyame adom menya moto am di Okada kakra nti me say be tax there. I think say nye good.
Come on. So ambulance say bibia ma omo dey kama to say dia me father e kan ya anti e bebo say ombe hu bibia ma
Okada no ese say omo tua roadworthy any ehun license any bibia insurance ni bibia just say say oni Okada konya accident oni insurance bia just say omo tua say anima ni nyina na omo so omo tua insurance.
I'm supporting it because most of us, we are feeding here. This is our life here. You understand? And to me, if they stop it, most of us will go back to our hometowns, you understand, because no more work to do again. And this is the work that we are doing to be getting small.
Okada no so mu tumi ma omu license na omu ma omu numbers wow ube china so ube hu nipa no se ni number ni ana some identity bi wow u hwehwe no a na afi no numbers no so ye sure say Okada numbers no e wo so no e ye papa enye aluguzan numbers ube kwa u hwehwe moto no hu se omu wo correct number plate no se ye hwehwe mo mo fa obi Okada baku use motor normal plate is by baku me nsa use baku on dey see en check is anyama no na mu ye sure say bibia ye kama na omu license so omu no dey ye fine because e boy ye nyina.
So that'll be all for this week. And this week, we did bring you some interviews from the National Road Safety Commission. And also, we did hear the Deputy Transport Minister, Titus Glover, speaking on the proposed legalization of the commercial use of motorbikes. You also heard from some motor riders here at NEMA. And also, they shared their views on this very issue. That'll be all for tonight. My name is Wendy Lai. Thank you so much for watching You and the Police. You join us same time next week Friday.